people, how you doing? I'm having a damn great day, and in today's episode of the Tactics videos, we'll be breaking down Pep Guardiola's new 4-3-3 attacking formation. So I think this formation more or less suits the playing style, it suits the way Erling Haaland likes to run in behind, it opens up a lot more space for him as well. So I think, you know what, Pep Guardiola, he's done a very intelligent thing, as per always, in making sure that he's playing it in a certain way that suits the players that he has. So we'll start off with the players. We've got Doku on the left wing, Alvarez just in behind the likes of Erling Haaland. We've got Silva as the right winger. We've got Rodri and Nunez in the midfield pivots. We've got Diaz and Stones just in behind them in the defensive departments. And then we've got Walker, the captain, as well as Ake as the left back, and then Edison between the sticks. In the substitutes area, we've got Jack Grealish, Foden, Kovacic, Phillips, Ortega, Akanji, and Vardiel. And then in the reserves, we've got Lewis, De Bruyne, Gomez, Stefan, Oscar Bob. I've heard he's going to be a fantastic talent, and I think he is also from Norway, if I'm not mistaken. So, you know what? Good on him. Good on him. So yes, they do have a few other players as well. So for the formation going forward, we've got a 4-3-3 attack. The only main difference I've made is Rodri has now dropped down into the DM area, and that makes more sense because he is a natural and out-and-out DM at times. You want him to be able to facilitate the play, help the team build up the offense from the back, starting off with him as well as you do want him to be able to break up the opposition's offensive play, being the thorn in their side. So the current formation, it has one goalkeeper, two centre-backs, two full-backs, one DM, one central midfielder, one attacking midfielder, two wingers, and of course Erling Haaland up front, one striker. So with the Pep system, they like to press when they lose possession. They really do enjoy making sure that the opposition is under a load of pressure all the time. So they'll more or less try and force the ball all the way to the back, either to the goalkeeper or to the back line, and that causes mistakes at the back, issues, and when they do win it, they win it nice and high up the field, and they can then transition into the goal attacking threat. Now, as for the team width, it's set to 65. It's a very widespread team. At times, it goes more of a 1v1 man-v-man situation, and what that also does is it helps players fill the gaps and helps them try and cut out those passing lanes, try and cut out the opposition's build-up play from the back. As for the depth, it is set to a very high line, set to 90. I would suggest, if you are playing a team, like I always do, if you are playing a team that do have pacey players up front, maybe a Liverpool or a PSG in the Champions League or something like that, I would say just drop it down ever so slightly. But you still want to try and maintain that nice high press, that nice high line that you can either catch the opposition offside, or essentially what you'll do is you'll try and squeeze the opposition in order for them to try and make mistakes at the back. As for the offense, the build-up play is set to having a balanced approach. You do want to have the likes of either Diaz or a John Stones or somebody from the back hitting those long balls into the forward line, either Erling Haaland, or those balls just slightly in behind for the space to be exploited by your forward line. Or essentially you can look to try and slow things down with a slower build-up play, or even Erling Haaland's favourite, have the pace pick up, have that fast build-up play, have your wingers interchanging positions with the fullbacks in certain moments, have them coming inside a bit more, transition quite quickly into attack. And that's why I've gone with a more of a balanced approach, because you want to try and incorporate a more dynamic approach to this offensive system. But as per always, the chance creation will be set to possession. Man City, they do look to not look after the ball. They do look to try and keep the ball more times and not be a bit more patient with it, especially when building up around the opponent's box. You want players touching the ball, 1-2 passes, little triangles formulating around that area. And you need to be a bit more patient with it when trying to find that killer pass in that final third. Now, as for the width, it is set to 80. It's a nice widespread midfield, nice widespread team in general. You want your wingers hugging the touchlines. You want your fullbacks more or less not hugging the touchlines either or. I mean, Kyle Walker will look to do it on the right-hand side, but the likes of Ake will look to more or less sometimes tuck in a bit more. But the main thing is you want your midfield nice and spread out. You want the likes of Rodri having multiple options, multiple passing angles. You want Kovacic or Nunez making those runs in behind, picking up those little pockets of space. And you can do that by having a nice widespread midfield, which is why I've gone with an 80 for the width. And then we've got players in the box. It is set to 6. The likes of Erling Haaland, Jeremy Doku, sometimes even Julian Alvarez. They will be your attacking threats in that final third, making those runs for those crosses. But what Pep likes is, and why I've gone with the 6s, if the ball is headed out, you want your team to try and recover it as fast as possible. Try and create those little passing triangles around the edge of the area, like I mentioned earlier, and more or less try and whip those balls back in, try and feed the likes of Erling Haaland, or even just another forward in that attacking area. As for corners and free kicks, as always, it is set to 4. So we'll start off with the goalkeeper between the sticks, Edison. Of course, it goes without saying, one of the best super keepers in the world, and that's why I've gone with him to be a super keeper. This this team essentially relies on having a ball-playing goalkeeper, one that's very confident on the ball, and also because you are playing such a high line, a 90 high line, it's incredibly high. You need your goalkeeper to be very confident when coming off of his line, when running outside of the box, when charging down the ball, collecting it and circulating it back into play. And I think Edison does a very, very good job with that. As well as come for crosses, he's very good at claiming those aerial balls, making sure that his area, his little 5-yard area is very nice and protected, whether it's from crosses, free kicks, corners, you name it, he's going to try and protect it and alleviate the stress and the pressure on the back line. But speaking of the back line, we've got Diaz and Stones. They are setting their base set of instructions. More times than not, I will go with this set of instructions for your backline because you don't want to have them being pulled out of position, creating holes and making it a lot easier for the opposition at times to shoot at Edison. And then going slightly out wide, we've got the likes of Kyle Walker. He's going to create the pace and the space as well as the width down this right-hand side with his attacking runs and his overlapping runs of the right wing as well, which is why you need him on this right-hand side more times than not. Whereas with Ake, he is here to have a bit more of a different role. I know he does sometimes make those more rolling runs forward, linking up play with the left wing at times, and that will be something that you will have to do manually because more times than not, you do want this back three system almost to be in play. So that's why I've gone with him to stay back while attacking and invert into almost a centre back at times, which he does a very, very good job with, might I say. Moving on into the midfield, we've got Nunez or Kovacic. Either or can play this position with no changes to the instructions. So for Nunez, box-to-box player, just like Kovacic, he will be having a balanced attack for his attacking support, as well as stay on the edge of the box. Like I say, one player's in and around that area to help with the build-up play, to help with the final pass, and Nunez or Kovacic can do a very, very good job with that. Normal interceptions are set to be on cover the wing and then free roam. You want him popping up in those little pockets of space around, almost having a very free roam role, and that way you can open up a lot more space for the likes of Rodri or even Alvarez or Kevin De Bruyne in the attacking midfielder role. But speaking of Rodri, he is set to be a shield in this back line, almost protecting it at times, not really getting forward as much. You can get him forward by having him manually run up the field, be a bit more involved in the attack, have those little 1-2 passes with him. Of course, with the system, you can have the 1-2 passes all over the place, and you do want to try and get Rodri slightly higher, and that's how you can do it. So he is set to cut passing lanes, stay back while attacking. Normal interceptions are set to be on for him, and then be the deep line playmaker. We have seen him, he does have that nice long ball that he can hit into the forward line, or just the ability to have those little 5-yard interchanging passes, pass and move, pass and move. And I think Rodri is a very good player with doing that, and as well as he is going to be the linchpin in this team going forward, he is going to also try and protect that backline as much as possible. He is essential to the system working just as much as what Edison is. And then slightly forward, we've got Julian Alvarez. Now his instructions will be different to the likes of Kevin De Bruyne. It's just like Jeremy Doku's instructions will be different to the likes of Jack Grealish, and I will go over them after this. For Alvarez, he is set to have a basic defensive support. You don't always want him dropping down, dropping deep into the midfield, collecting the ball and then charging at the opposition. You want him to almost have that freedom of choosing whether he wants to stay forward or not, and that's why you can spring those nice fast-paced counter-attacks, because if he does tend to hang back, hang up the field a bit more, he can link up play quite nicely with the likes of Haaland or Doku or whoever you have on the field with him. In terms of his support on crosses, you want him to get into the box, you want him to make those runs into that attacking area. Like I say, Jeremy Doku, Haaland and Alvarez, they will be those 3 players in the box waiting for the cross, waiting for the attacking opportunity, and that's how you can get it out of Julian Alvarez in the attacking midfielder role. In terms of the positioning freedom though, it is set to stick to position. You want him almost playing off of the shoulder of Erling Haaland. You want him to make those runs off of him. And I think against Fulham, we did see, I can't remember which game it was, but there was the one play where Haaland got the ball up front, he held it up nice and he just flipped it onto Alvarez, who was literally running almost directly behind him as well. So it works out very, very nicely if you are looking to replicate that as well. And then for the interceptions, it's aggressive. He's going to try and lead the press at times, be very aggressive with asserting himself on the opposition's back line. Moving out wide to the right-hand side, the right winger, we've got Silva. He's set to come back on defense, free roam, come short, and stay on the edge of the box. You do want him to drift inside a bit more, link up play quite nicely with the midfield, and that's why he's going to provide space on the outside for the likes of Kyle Walker to make those overlapping runs, and they work very nicely in tandem with each other, with the one creating space for the other more times than not, but you do want him to be a bit more involved in the midfield area. As for Jeremy Doku, he's set to come back on defense, have a balance with, so he won't always look to hug the wide area as much, as well as he will look to try and exploit the space in behind with his sheer pace and power, looking to try and expose the opposition's high line if they are playing a high line, or potentially just run the right back or the left back rugged. And then in terms of his support on crosses, he is set to get into the box for those crosses, making those late angle runs into the back post, being another attacking threat in that area. And then finally, we've got Erling Haaland. He is set to have a support run set to balance, so he will sometimes look to make those arcing runs inside out and outside in. He loves to do that, drawing centre backs out of position, making sure that they are under threat all the time. But when you are whipping those crosses, he will be the focal point. He will be the central focus of that cross going into the box. And that's why you need the likes of Alvarez or Doku around him in case there's a ricochet or the ball doesn't exactly go to him and you have another body in that area. But also to try and help him generate space in that final third. But most importantly, you do want him to have that run and behind approach, because he is very, very good at trying to exploit that space in behind the opposition's high line or just their defense in general. And then normal interceptions are set to be on for him. You can go with a bit more of an aggressive approach if you would like. If you know that the opposition is not very good with playing out from the back, I would say go with Alvarez and Haaland. Down the middle, aggressive interceptions, you'll see the opposition will make a load of mistakes. But for the time being, I've gone with normal interceptions. And then in terms of his defensive support, I have gone with him to stay forward. He's going to be the outlet, the focus. He's going to hold up the ball. He's become very, very good at just being able to collect the ball, hold it up, hold off the opposition, and then bring in other players into the play or into the game. The little passes around the corner flicks, very, very good. His link-up play with Alvarez is also getting a lot better as well. So when you do rotate the team in the likes of Jack Grealish, Kevin De Bruyne, and Phil Foden are in, there are slight variations and tweaks to the instructions in order to get the best out of those players. And like I said, Pep, he likes to try and get the best out of the players. He likes to suit the system to the players that he has, opposed to having the players suit him, which is quite nice. I mean, there's a bit of a give and take, but more times than not, he will try and tweak and tinker a bit with the system to try and get the best out of the player. So in terms of Jack Grealish, he's got a slight variation to what Doku does, but he will look to come back on defense, helping out his fullback more times and not, staying wide this time, creating those 1v1 situations with the opposition's left back. But he will also look to come inside a bit more, helping out in the midfield and almost pulling the fullback out of position at times in order to try and get your fullback a bit more space on that left-hand side. And then he is also set to stay on the edge of the box, so he won't always look to get into that area. He's going to look to try and help with the builder play, those little passing triangles, and try and facilitate for the forward line. Then we've got Kevin De Bruyne. He is set to come back on defense, dropping off more times than not, pulling out either the opposition's DM or potentially even a centre-back at times, dropping off, dropping deeper, collecting the ball, having a bit more freedom to do so, as well as he's going to try and stay on the edge of the box, try and facilitate from a wider region. And that's why I've gone with him to be set to drift wide. You want him to drift into that wide right area to try and whip in those crosses to the back post, either to Erling Haaland or another player. And then in terms of his interception, it is set to normal. And then finally, we have got Phil Foden, a man that can play either on the wing or in the number 10 position, but we have gone with him to be the winger in this situation. But for his defensive support, I've gone with the basic support. He doesn't always look to track back as much, but he will look to try and be a bit more involved in the builder play, which is why I've gone with him to be his chance creation to be on free roam. He will pop up in those little pockets of space, not always in the wide right regions, but sometimes a little bit deeper into the midfield at times, in order to try and support and help them with the builder play. In terms of his support runs though, he's set to have a balanced support. He won't always look to come inside or come short or to exploit the space from behind. He offers a very dynamic approach, and that's how you can get the best out of him in that section. And then in terms of his interceptions, normal, and then stay on the edge of the box, helping with the builder play, supplying for the forward line as well. Foden and Grealish, very similar but slightly different as well. So yes, my people, Pep Guardiola's 4-3-3 attacking formation in EAFC 24. If you have enjoyed this video, please hit that like button, subscribe if you are new, that would be fan-damn-tastic. We are going to make a load more tactics videos. I know Ange Postecoglou, PSG, they've all been requested and I'm working on them as we speak. Probably while you're watching this video even. So, like I say, if you can, hit that like button, please. That would be damn fantastic. Subscribe if you are new. And as per always, I hope you have a damn great day. I'm out.